Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Fabian for Liberty. Bitcoins, everything you need to know about Bitcoins, and the fact that since January 1st of 2013, when Bitcoin was trading at around $13, today it's at over $1,000, a 9,000% increase in price. What are they? And what is the future of Bitcoin? You know, I keep this 10-ounce bar of silver on my desk as a reminder of real value. I also stick to things that I know what they are. I know how to do them. You know, we live in a get-rich-quick society, unfortunately. Think about lottery tickets or gambling. I mean, think about casinos. You know, when I grew up, casinos were pretty much isolated to Las Vegas and a little town called Laughlin, which was a couple hours, I think, or an hour from Las Vegas. It was a little gambling town. My parents used to go there. They loved to play slot machines. And, you know, that was casinos. Today, casinos are everywhere. And lottery tickets are everywhere. Powerball is everywhere. And there's, even within my own family, family members that, you know, by all accounts would be like in the poverty, you know, line, if you will, right? Or not poverty line, but at that poverty threshold. They love buying lottery tickets. It is a get-rich-quick culture where they're like, oh, well, I'm going to come up. If, you know, I'm going to buy a lottery ticket, I'm going to win the lottery. Forget about the fact that, you know, the chances of you winning the lottery are literally like next to nothing. And the fact is that for people that do win the lottery, over 80% of them end up losing it all within a few years, and most of the time are in worse condition than they were when they won the lottery. Why is that? Because A, they didn't have a mindset for that wealth. They didn't have a mindset for creating wealth. They just like all of a sudden came to them. B is that they don't know how to handle money. The reason they're broke and poor and depending on lottery tickets to come up is that they didn't have a game plan. They didn't have goals in their life. They didn't have a direction. They didn't serve society or come up with an idea, an innovation, a plan, learn a strategy for serving the marketplace. Now, fast forward to Bitcoin. You know, I have to tell you, I have probably had, I don't even know, dozens and dozens and dozens of people contact me about Bitcoin. Many just wanting to know, Fabian, what do you think about it? Others trying me to become a sponsor for Bitcoin, wanting me to somehow get involved in these like trading deals with Bitcoin. And I've turned them all down. And not because Bitcoin is bad or those people are bad, but because I stick with what I know. Doesn't mean I don't invest in stocks, doesn't mean I don't, you know, invest in opportunity when I see it and I study it. But A, I never let somebody make that decision for me. And B, I stick with what I know, which is real estate. I love real estate. I've been a real estate investor for 12 years. I know right now is one of the greatest times to invest in real estate ever. And I know that after the collapse, after the global economic reset, it will likely be one of the best opportunities for real estate ever. Now, it could very well be the same case with stocks. I mean, you know, take somebody like Doug Casey, for example. I recently purchased a course from Doug Casey, which, again, you know, I am always filling my mind with new things, new ideas. You know, I may not even implement them, but I want to know about them that deal with making me a better person, a better investor, you know, somebody who can better serve the market and add value. And he came out with a report about Cyprus. We know Cyprus is bank runs. We know the capital controls. We know their economy collapsed. But you may have not known that their stock market was down like 99% from the high of just a few years ago. And so Doug Casey's a guy who's a downturn millionaire. He makes a ton of money. When things are really, really bad, he goes in and makes money. And that's what will happen, for those of you that have been asking me, after the global economic reset. That's why, you know, I get emails that say, well, you know, my only plan and my only, you know, thing is bullets, Band-Aids, and beans. And I'm thinking, that's great, but that's not going to really work long term. Now, again, if we have a grid down, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, all bets are off. Now, what does this all have to do with Bitcoin? I think that most of you would agree Bitcoin has been in the speculative bubble like we haven't seen in a long time. It definitely reminds me of the real estate market in 2007, 2006, 2007. I mean, I see all of the same similarities. But knowing history reminds me of the tulip mania, which many of you may not know. In the 1600s, we had people literally quitting their jobs to buy and flip tulips. Tulips meaning the little flower. And it was a total boom. And it was one of the biggest busts ever. And I see the same thing with Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is, first off, the whole deal about Bitcoin is that it was kind of a techie thing, right? And what's great about it is that, and there's good things about Bitcoin. I like the fact that it's decentralized, right? There's no central bank, dictating anything. So I do like that. I do like that it's a virtual currency as well. But the truth is Bitcoin really doesn't have any value. Money, like this silver, I can take this silver and I can trade it for something. I can take it to most any pawn shop, and I can get cash for it that I can convert to go buy soda pop, lunch, whatever. Okay? It's a medium of exchange. That's all it is. That's all money is. If tomorrow it was cell phones, well then, or wireless phones, we'd be using these. But Bitcoin really, for the exception of a few vendors that are now accepting it, I can't go and buy things with Bitcoin. I might be able to buy airline tickets with Bitcoin, but big freaking deal. They take dollars. Okay? So it's not like, Walmart or, some of these big banks are saying, we're only going to take Bitcoin. Now, that's what I think is going to happen with the new world reserve currency that will be the Chinese currency or a basket of currencies related to the Chinese currency. Then that will be a big alternative to the US dollar. And look, a lot of people, because, I see this marketing spin on Bitcoin where people that, are mainstream people that are now talking to me about Bitcoin, that's concerning. But there's no doubt if you're on YouTube, if you're in the alternative media, you hear Bitcoin talked about like crazy. I mean, there's documentaries about it, how great it is. And I understand that. People want something different from the dollar or the euro, these fiat currencies that we know aren't going to last. And even if they do last, we know that their prices are being debased, their value is being debased by an insane criminal banking cartel that runs the central banks of the world. Okay? So people are like, crap, what do I do? Let's go to Bitcoin. So we've had Bitcoin go up 9,000% in the last year. A couple more points I want to make about Bitcoin that I think are really important. And these are just my opinions. Everything so far that I've talked about, mostly everything has been fact. Now is entering Fabian's opinion on Bitcoin. I think that the banking cartels are always looking for ways to sucker people into these get-rich-quick schemes in order for they can make a killing. And so they can complete and execute their plan, which is making people more poor. That's why they have casinos. That's why they have the lottery ticket system. They want people to be enslaved and dependent on people. And so they would love to see people lose a lot of money in Bitcoin, especially the people that have been buying in the last few months. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen with Bitcoin in the next couple of months or in the next couple of years. I do believe, and I've heard from a pretty reliable source, that Bitcoin will likely crash by at least half once they open it up to short selling. I also know that Bitcoin is being hoarded by a lot of people. Have you tried buying Bitcoin? The truth is that it's really difficult. And not only it's really difficult, I have to give them a lot of my personal information when I buy Bitcoin, which I don't like that either. Who's collecting that information? The other thing too is that you see a website like Silk Road. Silk Road was a website where you could anonymously buy drugs. If you wanted to buy coke, ecstasy, heroin, knock yourself out, you could buy it, you could use Bitcoin. The feds shut that down, like they shut down a bunch of other websites that were like, doing knockoff purses of Versace or whatever other thing, right? But Bitcoin, they've actually almost endorsed. And some of the big mega banks have actually been talking nicely about Bitcoin. Think about this. Western banks hold a huge reserve of US dollars. Do you really think that they would all of a sudden be like, hey, let's go and endorse a challenge to that US dollar that if it really took off and really was legitimate would really hurt our balance sheet? Or the feds saying, hey, let's be cool with Bitcoin and roll it out and all that. It doesn't make any sense. Here's a couple things that I want to tell you, or my thoughts. My gut intuition tells me there's something really wrong with Bitcoin. I'm not buying it. I bought some way back, did good with it, and I'm happy about that. I sold it like a couple months back. But Truth is, the fools are the ones who kind of hold out for top dollar. Always the pigs that get slaughtered, right? I think Bitcoin will crash likely when it has opened up to short selling. There's all kinds of reports that it could be hacked. By no means take my word for it. Follow your own advice. Do your own research. My spider sense is tingling when I see a market go up 9,000%. Look at gold. Gold has gone from 300 to 1,900, but then it fell back down to 1,200. That's a sign of a healthy market. I'm buying gold every month like I'm buying and selling real estate every month. Things that I know about. Things that I know have real value. Just my thoughts on Bitcoin. I'd love to hear what you think about Bitcoin. Am I wrong about Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin the future? And is, the dollar or the central banks of the world just going to go along with Bitcoin and surrender their control of the currency, by default giving them the most power of any other institution or the central banks? They control the currency, by default control the politicians, control the military industrial complex, and everything else. I'm Fabian for Liberty. Thank you for watching. I'm out.